All right, hello everybody. I'm not going to waste any time getting straight into this. So as you see here, we got four different coaster types. We have a Intamin Blitz, which I'm going to be doing the tutorial on how to do the supports for the top hat, the outer bank, and the spike. Beside that, we have a B&M Giga coaster, and we're going to be doing the lift support for that, the big spine, along with the uh, A beams that go under it. Then beside that, we have a Intamin Strata, so we're going to be doing the Strata tower, and then we have a RMC hybrid, which we're going to be doing um, the truss lift for, and then this one's probably going to be the most difficult of all, but we got to set a little straight track there. Anyway, so that's the gist of it. If you need to get to any part specifically right away, check the description. I will have everything timestamped so you can get right to it if you're looking for a specific one. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. I'm going to start by working on the easiest way to do it all the way up to the most difficult. So we're going to be going in order from the easiest supports to do all the way up to the hardest. So without further ado, let's jump right into this. To start things off, the easiest one out of this group, I would probably have to say, would be a B&M Giga. So, really, it's really simple for this. So what we're gonna want to do is come over to the support panel, and we will go to rail connectors. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna place on the very first strict, we're gonna place one here, then come all the way over, and then find the part where the drop is at its most steep point. So we're gonna go like somewhere in this ball game. We're probably we'll stay around here, and then find the in between for the lift. So you got the strict node, and then go all the way up to the final strict node, which would be right here. Place one under that, and now just fill in between each cross tire. So like I'm doing here, you can either do this or you can skip. It all depends on how perfect you want it, but you can technically still like skip a couple and be perfectly fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip to the next part where I'm done with all this, and then I'll get into the next part. Okay, doke. So once you basically have all this, you want to go to the support panel, and once you get to this point, you will want to, first off, I would say change your color. So you can go to custom color, change it to whatever. I'm going to use the normal uh, Giga color, like the spine color. And then you want to come over here to box beam, and you want to do, or beam type, I mean, and then you go to box beam, and then you want to change the height of this, or the width, I mean, to 2.1. And then you want to go to the height of it and change that to 3.2. And then everything else is pretty good. Come down here to extra length, and then at the start and then at the end, you want to change these two to 0.1. Oops, I didn't mean to click that. All right, so then you're pretty much good from here. You can close this. Now you want to come over to add beam, and now you can start adding to each one. And I would recommend doing this and then checking, because it is a pain to go back and switch them. So we'll go here and we'll freeze it and see how it looks. And you can kind of see like it makes it a little bit thicker. You can also adjust it, like if you see like there's like a little gap in between, so we can like raise the height up. That's not a problem. You just double click it, and then you can change the height to like 3.4 or something like that. And it just, there's probably a much easier way to make this a lot quicker. Someone end up commenting and let me know, but we'll see. So then after you do that, you can freeze it again, check, make sure it's good. Like that looks fine. All right, so once you've done this, you can now go back and then start adding your beams all the way around. And then I will return once I get to all these done. And also don't forget, I'll do this one really quick because it's simple. You can click this last last strict node at the top of the lift, drag this down to the first. The lift's already taken care of, and then now all I have to do is connect each one down to this point. So I will go ahead and skip to that part, so that way we're not wasting any time, and we'll go on from there. Okay. Okay. So I already have this part done. Oops. So you can go to top view. You want to come over to this point. You want to kind of find just somewhere right after the last rail connector is up there, and you just come up a little bit and then place a footer. Make sure it's like centered though. Go back to right view, and then you can go to beam. Make sure this is still good. Yeah, see, I'm glad I checked that. Because if I didn't, it would have looked funky. All right. Box beam, box beam. Oh, okay, cool. You can click and drag this down, and then for realism, I would line it up and try to make it as like straight with this last one as possible. Like that looks pretty straight. I mean, there's a little bit more of a. But anyway, you get the idea. That's the whole purpose. We're just getting the idea. This is pretty much how you would go about doing it. Then same thing for the bottom of the lift. Come here, place a footer in the center. Go back to right view. Go to beam, add beam, and then just try to line it up straight. All right, so if I freeze it, I probably should have used a better color. I didn't think this through. So you can see that you already pretty much have the thickness and everything for the lift. Looks pretty good. There's still that tiny little gap, but it's all about adjusting, as I say in every tutorial. That's pretty much all this is. So to add in the A-beams, you will the very easy way, the best way I can explain this. Choose prefab. Come down to the dive archetype A. You can click this, and then Giga coasters have like one support here. If it'll let me place it, and then basically straight across. Put the grid on. Straight across, it's usually one right about there, and you can come back to this view. Now this is not going to be thick enough, so I'm gonna try to like go over it pretty quickly. So to basically, the easy way to do it, I would say, you can click this and then atomize it. Double click these, each beam, change it to 48. I only did this because the other ways I have not got it to work, but you might not have to do this. But make it a 5-foot beam. Click off, click this other one. Do the same for that. Make it a 5-foot beam. Freeze it. Looks a little funky up here though. Make that also 5 foot. See if that looks any better. Does not look great. You don't really see it on the way down, so I mean it might not be that big of a deal. So then unfreeze it. Select the bottom footers. Come to top view. Now the arrow keys might be different for the way you're building it. So for me, the down key will pull these back. And you want to just kind of pull it back just a little bit like this. Come back to the right view, check it. And I'll still come back just a little bit more. All right. And then back to perspective. And then somewhere along the middle point, like a little bit lower than, it's a little bit more than halfway up the supports. You want to go to, where's it at? Beam node. All right. And just place them. I need to select them so I can see where they're at. And then they're slightly above the halfway point. So we have this. Drag this down. Okay. Now just find your beams. Come back over to beam. Add beam. And connect it straight across. And then after that, just grab, I don't think it really matters what corner, but you're just dragging a support from corner to footer. And then that's pretty much the first part of that. Now you're basically going to do the same exact thing to this support here. So let's go ahead and do that really quickly. We'll go to here, atomize, double click, pipe 48, 5, click off, pipe 48, 5, click off, and then we're going to go to, why do I keep losing that? All right, boom, boom. I'm going to select the nodes, go to right, and then kind of line it up with this one. So we're going to drag this up a little bit, pull that together, back to perspective. We're going to get a beam, drag the beam, corner to footer, boom. All right, and then pretty much, I mean, the rest of it is just normal A-beam, so you could technically probably get away with just the normal dive arc. I don't know why that's not registering me clicking that. All right, there, there, and there. But these you might not have to atomize. You could probably put them at 42 and be fine with that. So if I freeze it now, the beams are a little big. So I mean, you can adjust it, go back down. You could do like 4. I feel like 4 would look too small though. That's the only thing. So we can just go ahead and do 4. Those are already at 4. Do 4, 4, 4, 4. I feel like the 4 would look a little too small though, but we'll find out. I guess, yeah, that looks fine. So we'll just keep it at 4 foot. Don't go the extra to do the other ones. And then I guess if you want to like really stay true to like the realistic part, we can unfreeze. Now this part's just extra. You don't have to do this, but if you really want to like keep the actual way of Giga supports, then you can do this as well. But it's not like a necessity. Like you don't have to. Click this, atomize, click the footers, bring the footers back. And you want to bring these footers back like kind of right in front of those, like right there. And then typically you'll have more supports coming out of this main beam onto that. So then you can go to rail connector, you can click a couple and then come back over and then add your beam nodes. Doesn't have to be straight yet because you're going to go back and adjust it anyway if you're doing this part. So click, we're going to add this beam, add this beam, and then this one we probably could just stick right to the footer. Then we're going to go back to right view and just pretty much straighten it out with each support piece. So we can probably get away with that one. And then from there you can, you know, like come down to your normal supports and then click into place. And then that's pretty much, I mean, oopsie, didn't think about that. I'll do 30. Switch these to 30. Don't forget to switch these. I didn't think about that. 30, and then instead we'll just bring this down. Put that there. You could be a little extra if you want. Supports, atomize, and then take a beam, drag that there. That's about right. So if you go to perspective, you've got this point. But this is basically how to get the structure of it. You can adjust the beams, you can add, change. Like, obviously, this is a lot smaller of a beam than what it really is, but this is how you would lay it out and do it. This is the easiest support to do for what I'm going to explain because I'm going up in order from easiest to hardest. So you have, once you have that, you're pretty much set to complete your coaster. I mean, I would highly suggest completing your coaster first, then coming back and adding the supports. But yeah, this is how you do the Giga supports. So now let's go on to the next part. Alrighty, for this next part, the second easiest one to do will be the an Intamin Blitz, the spike, top hat, outer bank. So I will go over all these pretty quickly. The easiest one to do, we'll just work our way around. I would say in order from easiest to most difficult on this part. Top hat would be the most difficult. Outer outer bank would be the easiest, and spike would be like the middle point. So we're gonna jump into the spike and go ahead and start going into it. So, let's find the spike. Cool. All right. Most spikes are a little bit closer to the ground, so I mean, not most, but it could be whatever height you want. So we're gonna go to supports, and I still have everything from the other one, so let's change this. And 24, I believe, is usually the size, but we're gonna check it out and see what happens. Rail connector. So you don't want to go to the very top, and if you want to be, I'd say, more precise, you can click roughly in this area, switch this back to not double, single, and then come up here and then just change this to the where is it? Oh, without diagonals. So now you got, let's raise this up a little bit and pull this down. All right. So now jumping into the support part, you don't want to put any supports on this. You're literally just going to put maybe 3 or 4 up this little straight tower right here. So supports, rail connector, and we'll just do 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then down here, we'll add those later. So go to top view. I'm going to scroll in. And you can't really tell, so we're going to just add a random footer that's like pretty much centered. And then we're going to come out and we're going to basically do a triangle with it. So we're going to just put 1 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The more symmetrical, the better it will look. And then you can adjust all of it at the end. Wait, something looks off. Oh, I see what it is. Okay, so we'll put it somewhere in there. Okay, so if this is the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, do 5 here. Just center it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 here. All right, that's much better, much better. All right, the grids during all of these supports are going to be your best friend. So I would recommend using the grid a lot because, especially for the next few, focusing on using the grids will help keeping the symmetry right and make everything look more realistic, more natural. So add beam. No, we don't want to add beam yet. Oops. You want to go to add free beam, add free node, and just come off, and then just click kind of in front of each one, and you're, like I say all the time, you're gonna just adjust it slightly when you start working on it. So then we're gonna just, you don't want to put them too far out, but enough to create a beam, and then you can go back and like straighten these out afterwards. All right, once you have this, I mean, technically, let's do this. We're just gonna line it up with the grid, make it easier. Just try to get it straight. Pull this, lift that just a little bit. Pull that. Just bring it down a little bit, get it straight. All right, now that you have this straight, you can now take a beam, drag it straight down. I gotta find the footer first. All right, so now that we know that the beams are gonna come straight down on this thicker white line, just pull this back. And then we could pull this back, zoom out. And I would say connect it straight down from here. Like you don't necessarily have to go to 1, next, 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 all the way down. So then if we freeze it, then we'll get an idea of the beam size. I have no idea how that even happened. Use my arrows because I don't want to like mess it up. Cool. Coaster, we'll freeze it again and check it out. That should be okay. I mean, the beam's a little bit smaller. 20 is way too small, I feel. Not really. All right. We could just adjust these really quickly. We'll just go to 20. Alrighty. Now, on the, like, towards this bottom part, you're going to want to go to supports, and you're basically going to be creating the triangle, like the base triangle. So we can go to add free node. We're just going to place it randomly. I'm going to highlight it and then hold page up so I know they're going to be above the ground. And then we're just going to place it above the dots here. Go to right view, and since we held page up, we know they went up. So now you're going to hold it until the drop pretty much, oops. If there was an oops counter, I wonder how many times I've said it. Drag this up to about this point. I mean, this is a little high, but it'd be okay because you can also like adjust the terrain to make this not as like stretched out or whatever. So then come here, and then we're gonna add a beam node right there, straight across. Go to top view to make sure it's there, which takes over that spot. So now what I'm gonna do is, before I do that, so I don't basically lose the beam in the beam that I'm about to put it in, click here, and you want to create the triangle. And now we will select this and bring it into this place. If we go to perspective, now we're basically building up the triangle part. And let's go ahead and put the feet on this boy. Beam. Go ahead and drag it down. And on the bottom of the bases of spikes, from this center beam, you want to come back and bring both of these back against this. And then that adds more stability, and that's part of what Intamin uses when they're building their spikes. The part after this is actually where it gets pretty much really simple. Go back to right view. We're going to scroll out, and then go to the middle point, or basically like a little more than the middle point of this, and you want to add a beam in between, or be a beam node there. Zoom out, and then pretty much you're going to be dragging these down to each corner. So bring this down to a corner, bring this down to a corner, and then you want to go skip this gap and come to this next gap, and then put another beam node right in the middle, and then the same thing with this. Drag, drag. And it looks a little funky because this is a very short tower, but here I can let's just raise this up a little bit. Which kind of screws things up a little bit, but not hard to adjust. Come back. All right, that should be fine. And then if we freeze it, you have your spike, or your spike supports. Now it does look a little bit funky, but this is pretty much exactly how you would build it. Then you can go back, add your flanges and all this other stuff, all the good stuff. There you go. This is how you would build your spike tower. And then if we go along, we will jump into the outer bank, and then we will finish off on the top hat. But the top hat will be a little bit tedious, so yeah, if you're confused at all this far into the video, leave a comment below. I'll get back to you. I'll make sure I can help out in any way I can. If you're lost or need help with something, I will try to explain it better if I haven't explained it good enough. I'm trying to make sure I can like explain it, but also go through it fast. Not too fast, but fast enough to where it's like I'm keeping a pace. I don't want to like talk slow, over explain or something, and then lose attention, because I know how frustrating that is when you're watching tutorials. So I'm doing it now. So let's skip on to the next part, and we're going to start with the outer bank. Let's jump right into this. So this is definitely a very, very small version of the Blitz. It's not even 200 feet. I mean, this is technically the height of, or the spike is at least the height. The spike is the height of pretty much Pantheon's normal scale. So for the outer bank, this is extremely simple. I'm going to just use prefabs, and atomizing and adding a couple beams, and it'd be over. It'd be really quick. You can also do this customly, like adding nodes and all that, but I'm trying to keep this like really simple and brief. But once you learn how to like adjust prefabs and stuff like that, the way I was doing with the Giga Coaster, you kind of get a better understanding instead of like jumping right in and trying to learn everything. It kind of, if you mess with it first and see how things connect and how you can do and adjust things, it becomes easier, and then eventually you'll be able to like, oh, this is actually pretty simple. So to start, you're gonna want to use the like the 90-degree bank track, but you want the leg, like the leg of it, to be pointing on the inside of the outbank. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna put one on pretty much the corners right before it hits the max angle tilt. Top view, come over to this, and we're gonna freeze this first. I want to make sure the beams are the same size, or like not too big. They're a little big, but they're not. It's not the end of the world. All right. So then after this, you can go to supports, come back here. You want to scroll down to the A beams, and you kind of want to put them even across. So like one, we'll do one here, and then one here. Typically, if you're doing an Intamin Blitz, I should have said this before. Intamin Blitz, if you double click, they typically use the round footers. So like usually I'll go through all of my Intamin Blitz for the most part, and I will change them to round footers. But that's very small details. It's not like a thing that is a must. So if I click on this and then atomize it, we're going to go to the top view, and we're just going to bring these out more and then kind of bring them together a little bit. And go back to perspective. And then here's where it's literally really simple. So click this, atomize, click this, atomize. Now go to beam node, and you want to go to whatever view you can get the best sight of it. Find the point. You can either use this one or this one. I'll basically use this one. You just click and drag, but go to your beam nodes, go straight across, and you want to click. Same thing with this. Find this one, come across, click, and then go to your beams. I keep confusing myself because I'm trying to like not say the wrong thing. And just build a triangle. Then you can go back to the view that you were using. Just make sure these are, if I can move this. Yeah, so we're gonna move this up to this point, because you want it to look even across. So bring this down. All right, basically that's it. That is basically how you would make an outer bank. The support sizes are a little wonky, but like if I come back here and we just change everything to 20, which doesn't take long. We didn't place that many supports, so it will not take long at all. So just come and click all these, change them to 20, make sure these are 20, and they are. So then come here, 20. Oops, not 24. We want 20. Keep clicking 24 for some reason. Freeze. Basically, this is an outer bank. How you would make outer bank supports. And if you need reference, you can look up Pantheon's a great example. You can also look up Conda, but if you're making a larger scale outer bank, Pantheon, this is basically how you would go about doing it. The only thing you could probably maybe adjust is like bringing these footers out just a little bit more. Other than that, that is all that is to it. It's all you have to do for an outer bank. So, like I said, this was probably the easiest one of the three for this coaster type. And now we're going to go ahead and jump into the top hat. And this is where things can get a little tedious. Maybe not, maybe so. Just depends on the shaping of your top hat, how much the top hat turns on your way up. the angle of it. It's so like this the top hat is like it's not like every one size fits all type. It all depends on how you shape your top hat. So let's go ahead and get into the top hat portion. Okay. So for starters, this is what I mean by it depends on the shaping of your top hat, because you kind of want to start with the footers so you have your general idea, and then we're going to go back and add our rail connectors and then just start piecing everything together. But for most of these uh, modern Intamin Blitz coasters, a lot of it is just triangles. It's just basic triangles, and just that's pretty much all it is. So we're going to come over here, we're going to place one here, and you're pretty much making two triangles that mirror each other. So we're going to do this, and then we're going to put another piece, and then you want to put this one like right at the base of the drop. So we can go to perspective, and this is also a really tight and squeezed top hat. So this is going to look a little weird, but beforehand you can just adjust what you got to adjust. Now for the rail connectors, you don't want to add it close to the top. You kind of want to add it right when the top hat starts to crest in, and then pretty much straight across, keeping it kind of symmetrical. And then you want to connect from here down to the triangles. So we will do that. We're going to simply click, drag. I'll explain a little bit more on why I was talking about the top hat shaping in a second. So you see this is like there. So I think if we hit right, we can pull this back a little bit so that way it doesn't intercept the track. Go to top view. And so this beam right here is also going to be a secondary support for the way up right here. So that's why it's like different, because if your top hat turns more, then you're going to have this placed a little bit different. But basically, you're going to use this as a secondary support beam on the way up. The top hat's pretty much going to support everything from the lift up into it to the bottom of the drop of it. Like we did with the outer bank, we're going to want to put triangles at the halfway point. So we'll go to the beam nodes. We're just going to click randomly, because then we're going to go back and adjust it. Go into our view. We'll just go to front view. It might be a little easier that way. All right. So we're just going to we'll just go to this, using the grid. We'll just keep everything straight across this line. Q. All right. The triangles are a little small, so I'm going to try to pull them back a little bit. I think that'd be fine. It gives you a really solid idea. So I'm going to go back to beam, and then from the point of this, drag down to each corner and do the same for this side. And then we will place another footer, because technically we can probably put this here and get away with it, and just put a beam or a node there. So we'll just line that up. And then we're going to add another beam node. Connect that down. And then say you're going to use, we can go up here and do this then. Drag this until it lines up with that support beam. And now it's like lined up, so you basically have it lined up with this track. And now you will go back, add like maybe 3 rail connectors, and then you want to add your beam nodes to it as well. Then connect your beams to this way up. Add another footer. Bring that down, go to top view, make sure that's, I placed that, oh never mind, I did not place that right. Okay, so if I freeze it, that's what we have so far. I mean, technically I can add, I'll do that. Go to supports, we'll add one more here. Add beam node, add beam, connect. Alright, so we're gonna go back to the top hat part and we can like kinda see. Let's go to freeze. So you have this now. So the supports for the top hat are also holding up the lift into it, and you're gonna do the same thing for this exit here. So just go to top view, supports, and this does become a little repetitive, so you'll end up picking up on it really quick after doing it 1 or 2 times. I would recommend making like a test top hat like this and messing around with it first before you like finish a whole coaster, go to do this, and then it becomes like really frustrating. So we're just gonna place this here and make sure there's a gap so you can connect your pieces. And then rail connector, we'll put one there, here, here, and here. Add beam node, and we're going to add connector pieces because we're just going to use other beam connectors to pretty much connect now. So we'll connect one to this corner, one to this, one to this, and then one straight down to this. And then I can adjust that. We'll freeze it. And now you basically, I mean, this is basically all you need for a top hat. This is basically all. And then all that's left is just adding the extra supports around it. And that's pretty much it. The reason why I would say this is tedious is because there's a lot of intertwining and a lot of like slight adjusting, and there's little things like this. Like this could be really tedious for some people, like pulling the supports out to like also line up and connect with other pieces. It's just, that's the only reason why I would say this is tedious, because with the outer bank you're working on a straight piece of track basically. You're not really going through anything. The spike, you're just building vertically, and with the top hat you're building in every direction and trying to line things up to look realistic. So then that's the tutorial for the top hat, the spike, and the outer bank. And now we can get into the very next part. Again, if you have any questions, leave them in the description, or not description. I'll leave the timestamps in the description. Any questions, you can just throw them in the comments. I will be sure to get back to you. If you need help, I will be happy to help. I just need to know what, just need to know what's not being understood, and I'll be able to help out. So let's get to the next part. So for this part of the tutorial, we're going to do the Intamin Strata tower. And here we have King Ka from Six Flags Great Adventure. And honestly, this is going to be another one of those supports that are going to be just basically all triangles. Just to show, we have 456 feet. And I tried to replicate it, but it's also like I tried to throw it together really, really quickly. So for starters, we can go to top view because most of this is going to be like a top view type deal. So if we're in top view, we're going to want to make a triangle, but not a perfect, like kind of a smush triangle. So we're going to just place a footer here and then a footer over, well, we could just place them sporadically for a second and then we can go back and adjust it. But I'm going to line that up with this square. Probably line it up with this square. Because you got to think we're going to have a support when this is, when we build the tower up. The part that's going to come out over and then grab this side of the track. And then for the triangle, basically I guess we're going to have to like eyeball it for like the middle part. But like you want you don't want to like way back here. You kind of want to like a little smushed triangle. And a little bit more than that. So we can just use our arrow keys. That looks like it'd be alright. But anyway, you can adjust this. So it doesn't really matter. It's not going to be the final placing for it. So if we go to perspective, you can see this, which actually when you're putting it like that, it looks like it needs to be out a little bit more. Alright. So for a big chunk of this, like what we'll do is we'll go to the right view. Well, it really depends on which way your coaster's facing. But basically we're going to build straight up from this back point of the back of the tower until we're like roughly around the point where the coaster starts to like turn to go over the top hat. So somewhere in this range. And then once we get to that part, we're gonna have to we're gonna bring it in slightly, and then I'll just show when we're getting to it. All right. So just to make everything a little bit easier, we're gonna line it up with this. I'm gonna choose free node. We're gonna place it there, and just to make it quick, we're just gonna pull it up here. I think that's the right one. Pretty sure. Alrighty. See, if I hold page up, it might take a little bit. So I mean, we're just gonna do this to make sure we can get this kind of right. But we can start like roughly. I mean, we can technically start it around this area. All right, and then come up to like right where it starts to crest. So about a little bit higher than this, but keep it on that one dot so we can have it. And then when you're in the side view, it does look a little bit weird, but we're gonna take this and we're gonna bring this a little bit closer to the tower. So there's a little bit of lean to it. Lean. We're gonna come here, we're gonna bring all of this over a little bit more. And then we're gonna end up making a meet point, like a meeting point for it in this area up here. And that's gonna line up with the footer down here. So if we got the solid white, we go over, second block over from the solid white. Alright, so then second block over from the solid white, boom. Now that does look a little bit strange, but it's okay. For example, like here's a good way to do it, because this is how I'm gonna kind of like go about it. If you look here, you have a bunch of triangles, but you're looking at the way the structure kind of like comes in on itself. So you go up a little bit more than halfway, and then it comes in till about the part where it starts to really crest itself at the top, and then it shoots over right in there. So all we're doing is getting the outer structure, and then we're gonna go back and add all the little triangles in, and then I'm gonna explain how to do this one little part where you can add the crosswalks all the way down, just to add a little bit more realism. But we're gonna jump right into that. Okay, so basically what I would say do is like kind of study the structure first before you like jump into it. Is this an inflatable? Basically just study the structure, and it'll give you a good idea of where to go and how to pick up on things, and like where each thing should go. Like these down here, like Top Thrill Dragster does not have these additional supports on the back like this. And a lot of the times you probably didn't even notice it was back there, like these little extra legs that come off the tower. But those are extremely easy to add. But we'll get to that once we get to that point. But yeah, so if we jump right back in the NoLimits, all we have to do is we're just at this point we're adding our points to build the tower up, basically building the skeleton for it, the outer skeleton, and then we can fill in everything else. And then we'll go through all the other little details once we start building up to a certain point, and then yeah, we'll be able to really start shaping up the tower. So to start basically adding things, I would go to the support panel, and you're going to want to go to custom pipe. I would say anywhere between 4.5 feet and 5 feet roughly, because it's a pretty thick pipe. So if we go to side view, we can pretty much just start adding the basics of the beam. So we could just do this, and you can kind of see it looks a little really strange. But if we go back to front view, there's also other parts on these supports that come up that they also start to taper in just a little bit. So let me pull this back over, and you see how like it comes straight up, and then right once it starts to like twist on both sides, it will come in a little bit, and it has like a little tapering in, and then it points up into a triangle at that point. So as we've been doing, we'll just go to free node, and just go roughly somewhere in the ballpark, just clicking. And then from this view, all you need to do is just like line it up on the same line. So we'll just put them both on the white line and then go to top view. And you can see where we could just drag it and pull it over. So now it's directly on top of it. And then it's also equal straight across. And we go back to front view. And then you can see that we can, from this point, click on one, hold control, click the other, and then you can page up, get it kind of where you want it height-wise, and then just do the same thing again, and then we'll start to bring them in so we can start shaping out the others, or the two outer sides where the track will go. I don't want to like skip through this because I'm not sure if it's like might be confusing if I do or not, so we're gonna just click these randomly. We'll do the same thing. We'll just put this on the white line, and then this on the white line. Top view. Where did the dot go? Oh, I know the dot's over here, but this dot over here. Did it really? Oh, it already put it straight on top of it. All right, cool. All right, now we can go to perspective. And just so you can kind of see it a little bit better, let's add the beams in. See, because I gotta find these two. So we got this one here. These things are kind of hard to see. And we'll like back up a little bit. Then we'll pull this down to that footer. I lost that one. Okay, we're gonna pull this down to this footer. So we're kind of getting somewhere. And then we'll go to front view again. I'm gonna click it. I'm gonna pretty much taper it to be right on top of the track. You could do, to be safe, we'll do right in the middle. So I try to put it right in the middle of the track on both sides. So, because I mean the tower is it's basically symmetrical. So we're just trying to get it as symmetrical as we can. Then from that point, you're literally just gonna click this, drag it up to the top, make the point, and do the same. And then take this point and raise it straight up to where it's right under the track. Now you've pretty much got the structure started. So you have the main area. So if I freeze this, it looks really wonky. The pipes are a little big, so we can adjust this. Like building coasters, it's literally just adjusting and adjusting. So, I mean, luckily we didn't put down a lot of types of pipe, or like a lot of pipes down to like adjust. So we can click it and then we'll go through and change it. We'll do like, I don't know, 4 feet or something like that. I think 4 feet might work. So I'll just go through, hit 4, click, 4, click, 4. Just gonna run through and do 4 for all of these. It might be a little too small, but I mean, the whole gist is just tweaking around with it and trying to get it right. That was already done. 4, we'll go to this one, and then 4, close. All right, let's freeze it again and see how it looks. I mean, that's a little bit better. It does look really weird, and I think I see exactly why. All right, if we go to front view, we'll be able to like see more. Yeah, I think it's because these need to be brought down more. So we'll just click both of these, hold page down, and bring it down to like this point. I mean, if I'm trying to like follow exactly how the supports are on. This is about right. Where it's at now, it's about right. As close to right as we can get it. So let's freeze this, because this is actually the hardest part of the whole entire tower, is just getting the outer structure done, because filling everything else in after is pretty straightforward, and it makes it a lot easier once you start doing that. So we have this, so we can lower this down quite a bit. Yeah, that'll work. And then, because we're gonna end up bringing all this closer, so we can unfreeze this, click all of it, and we can just bring it closer. You don't want to bring it too close, but closer. Like that might be a little too close on this. Oh no, it's not. That'd be fine. That works. Alrighty. And then now from this point, we're literally just gonna go through, add in Uh, I'm terrible with spacing, but we're gonna use the grid and see how we could do it, because I might be able to do here each. No, each box would be too much. Probably every other box would not be enough, so we're gonna have to go a box and a half. Now, box and a half should be good. So I'm gonna go ahead and unfreeze. I'll show how to do the first, like the first one, and then from there I will go ahead and pretty much skip through the rest of that, so that way we don't have to like spend a bunch of time on this one section. So let me pull this down. All right, there we go. All right, so to start, let's go to supports, add beam, drag it across, bring that back, bring this, boom, and we'll go to front view. And now I'm gonna do so now you're gonna do add beam node, so you can click it directly onto it. We're gonna go a box and a half, find the halfway point. That's like half of the box, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. All right. So come over here, add the. Hey man, you won't get on that beam. All right. Bring this up. Then add a beam node. Dang. It's a pain in the ass. Alrighty. So then, after that, you're gonna just rinse and repeat. Zoom in so you can see all of it. Click and drag. Click and drag. Click and drag. And we're gonna just do this the whole way down, just like a box and a half. Well, it's really up to your measurements. If you want to do a box, if you want to do a full box, if you just want to do half, it doesn't really matter. But like scale wise, I feel like a box and a half is like in that ball game of like spacing that actually work. I mean, it doesn't look that amazing right now, but once we get all the other ones in, then we can start filling in. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip ahead. I'm pretty much doing this exact same thing. I'm not gonna do anything different. All the way down. Once I finish this, we will start on the next section, which is adding in the little cross beams and stuff like that, which is really simple. So then I will see you when I get finished with that part. So I just finished up. We just got the rest of this done, and realistically, the pipe size is a little too big. Like we probably shouldn't have did 4, but it's not enough to make a massive difference. So now we can go to front view, and you're gonna want to place a beam node in the middle of each cross beam, all the way down. And since the beam is closer to you, it'll just lay it on top of the beam that's behind. So it's gonna overlay the node that's in or behind it. So it's not gonna. It's hard to explain. I'll show you when I get to that. When we get to that. Anyway, you're just gonna add the middle node into each one all the way down. All right. Make sure that's all there. Boom, 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 boom. All right, good. And now is where it really starts to just fall into place. So let's go to the support. I would change it down to like 3 feet because this is you don't need the thick supports for this part. You want to go to add beam, and then pretty much making triangles in the front all the way down. So click, drag here, and then click and drag here, and then we can freeze it to make sure that it looks decent like that. That looks okay. That'll do. So we're gonna do this all the way down. Add beam. Alrighty, and then I'm gonna finish this front side, and then we'll talk about the back side afterwards, and yeah, I'll see you at that point. Alright, we have the front side done. So the back side is the same thing, really. Like, really, it's basically the same thing. So we're gonna grab the same corner we started from, and just pull it back, and then create the triangles from the front to the back side now. As I'm doing here. Now, it will start to get a little bit confusing with everything overlapping like this, but it's could be worse. Make sure that's the right one. Alrighty. And just do this all the way down. And I say it's starting to like throw me off a little bit, because I want to make sure I connect them all to the right one. And we're already pretty much at the bottom. All right. So you're gonna do it to the bottom as well. And then you can kind of stand back. It still looks a little bald. So we freeze it. It still looks a little bit like it's missing something. The track shadow actually looks kind of cool. But that's now from this point, we're literally gonna go through and just start connecting the beams to the drop itself. And realistically, it's honestly, this is probably the most simple part, because we're gonna unfreeze this, and then you can go to supports, and then you can just add rail connectors. Realistically, there's more than that, but do it to both sides. And then I'm gonna like prefab or something. I'll just choose this as a basic. And then you're gonna end up having to add beam nodes. So I mean, click here for that, there for that one, there for that one. Because then you're gonna drag the beam to it. Like that one should be fine. There. And then that one can drop here and then come all the way back. So that's fine. And add one there for that, one there for that, one there for that. There. Because they're going to pretty much go straight back. But we're also going to like do more than just bring them straight back. So I'm going to click this. We're going to atomize that. And this one here. Go to add beam. And then just start dragging. And then we're going to go back and so it's going to look really funky right now. So we're going to go back and adjust it in a second. We're just connecting the track. Take this and also connect it to the straight down footer there. And then we're going to do the same thing to this one. Boom, boom. This side actually turned out pretty decent. I don't know if I'm going to have to do much adjusting on this. All right, so that's good. These little diagonal ones, they're not necessary, but it just, I don't know, something about it just makes it feel a little bit better. Alrighty, so go to right view. All right, so I got to manually pull these. And you want these to be straight. You want them to go straight across from where they're at, or from the rail point is. So, I mean, it's going to look a little wonky, but should fall into place. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to be flying by this at over 100 miles an hour. So, I mean, realistically, you don't have to get this intricate with it and get this precise. So we go ahead and freeze it and see how this looks. It goes up the tower. I mean, it's alright. It looks pretty decent. And then the top part, there's a little. This one's simple. You want to add a rail connector here. Go to like front view or something. Go all the way to the top. Once again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I just prefer it to be close to that. And then we'll go to right. Okay, that works. All right, so then we can go to perspective. I'll show that what we have. All right, so we have. First, so let me drop this down a little bit. All right, so you want to make like an L shape because if you just connect these two, it's gonna make the pipe have like a diagonal bend in it. That's gonna look really weird. So like, just try to build an L with it because then you're gonna make the beam come straight off of the top, and then it's gonna stick straight up into the track. I am not sure how to fix that. Never said I was a support expert, but I don't know how to fix that. Can't even really tell though, so I mean, maybe it's okay. I think it'd be for the sake of tutorial, we can figure this out together at some point. But right now, you're basically doing this the whole way down. You're just gonna make like L's that come off of it. Like you want to make a part that sticks off and then goes into the track. And then for probably the last part of this tower that I'll probably go over is the little spiral down, how the support kind of sticks off of the structure itself. Because maybe that's a little confusing, maybe, but let's see. So it usually is about in this area, so we'll unfreeze supports, and then we'll go to free node. We'll put it like right here, and then we'll bring this over, and then we'll actually I need a rail connector there too, so we'll do that. And we're gonna just not completely add it, but we're gonna put it in place. Beautiful, looks absolutely flawless. I'm gonna just hold page down. And if there's any questions on this so far, just feel free to leave it in the comment. I'm pretty sure out of all of them that I've explained so far, this is probably the worst explained that I've done. I don't feel like I've explained this well. Maybe I have, but I don't know. I feel like this one's really not hard to explain, but it's just a pain. So then we have this actually worked out kind of perfect. So you just click and drag, and you're trying to make like a little box that wraps around the track. So you can see it like goes down, and then the track will rotate. Maybe bring this out here. It's gonna look weird regardless because it's a funky part. And then just for realism, because it just looks weird having that stick off, we'll add another beam, kind of connects it there. Freeze it. See, I have no clue. I don't understand how that works. You don't want it like stick off too much, but like what is that, man? What is that? What if I get rid of this one? Will it change anything? Wow. All right. Well, I guess we shouldn't have that part in. So I mean, you see how this. You can pretty much see how it would work. And I know there's two different ones, but this one's probably the most extreme one. So this one's probably, I would say, maybe the most difficult to do. Kind of looks like the tower is giving it a little hug. The tower is hugging the track. I feel like that might be it. I mean, I feel like I did a terrible job on explaining it. Let me go over one thing. Because this could actually, I mean, it's a very small detail. It's not necessary at all. I'll do like two of them, and it'll be really quick. So if I unfreeze, go to track. Where's okay, start vertex. Boom, boom. All right, then we'll go to right, or no, we'll go to front. Come down. and just set the track like within the it's gonna take some adjusting, but then take it, click it, invisible, and then you want it on the right side. Yeah, right side. So then transparent, and then if I freeze it, well, I mean realistically we gotta. You kind of get the point. I mean it's. So we have that. Go to top. Yeah, like it's not perfect at all. So straighten this out. Click both. I'm gonna put it into the tower, and then you could do this the whole way up, really. So you take it. The catwalk's gonna be on the right side, so I just put the track right in the middle of it. Then you can freeze it. There you go. And you could obviously raise it up a little bit. But if you come back here, it's a very small detail, so it's like not even really necessary. But if you want to go for the full-on realism, then you can do that all the way up. But I mean, other than that, I'm pretty sure that that's pretty much it, really. It's just a bunch of triangles and then just intertwining them kind of in a way. So I mean, if you have any questions on this, please leave a comment. If there's any specific part, just please put a timestamp in the description. I'll skip to it and see where maybe I've misexplained or made it very difficult to understand. So yeah, that's it for the Strata Tower. And we're gonna skip on to the second to hardest one. And I'll see you there. Alright, this next part is one that I haven't really seen any tutorial on, realistically. I mean, there's not really much of any tutorials out there for like most of these support types. I mean, there's a Giga one out there, but it's kind of difficult to find if you're just trying to search that specific thing. But so we're gonna be doing the RMC Truss Lift that you'd find on their more modern hyper hybrids or their mega coasters, because they're varying in height, but they're starting to keep the same type of structure build. So the truss lift. For this, go over to support panel, and you want to do a box beam 6 by 6 feet, and then profile width 0.5, 0.5 for both of these, and then you can choose your custom color. I'm gonna choose like a grayish. I didn't want it to be black because I mean it would probably be hard to see from the side, and then black blends really easily when you're trying to like see different angles and put stuff down. So maybe not, but we'll see. All right. So a truss lift, it's basically you want to okay. For starters, let's do this. Go to front view. Let's go over to the up here. All right. Use a grid. Well, actually, you could start right here. Just kind of draw around it, but you want it to stick off the track quite a bit. So we'll do that. And you don't want a perfect square, so you want to like have it a little bit smooshed. All right. So with that, you would connect these. Connect off like pretty. You're making a box. And then we can go back to right view. Okay, found it. All right. You want to bring it down. And this looks like it seems like it's about right. Anyway, you want to like keep this like with the Strata Tower, you want to keep the spacing pretty even. So I would say skip one, do one line, skip a line, next. Okay, so you want to make this so much easier on yourself. Select what you just did after you created your box. Hit Control C, Control V, and now drag. We're gonna skip one and go right up onto the track. Control C, Control V, right up onto the track. Now it's not gonna like. I mean, it technically maybe it will. All right, cool. And we're gonna do this the whole way up the lift. And this also saves a lot of time. You will be thanking yourself later instead of drawing each individual box. And yeah, you're gonna much more enjoyable to do if you do the copy and paste method with this. Because you'll see why. Because it can get really out of hand really quick. So we're just gonna... Alright, so I don't have much left, so I guess I can just continue it. So we're just gonna do this the whole way up. I just don't want to like skip ahead and then feel like want you guys to feel like I did something else in between. So I want to kind of just give it like record all of it as straightforward as possible. Now make sure before you do start placing for this, you've already went through your support panel and fix your settings, your support settings. And then when we get to the top, that's when things might kind of start getting a little weird, because once you get to this point, the square is going to have to start rotating down. So like if I copy and paste, we're going to bring this down, and then let's rotate it 90 degrees. Well, that is definitely not 90. All right. And then go to the steepest part. You want to find the steepest part of the drop. So we'll say like probably right there. And then do the same thing, copy and paste, but this time you're just going to bring it straight down. So copy, paste, page down, copy, paste, page down, copy, paste, page down, copy, paste, page down, rinse and repeat. So you're going to bring this straight down all the way to the ground. So copy and paste, page down. And then once you get the hang of this, it's like, it won't be difficult. It'll be pretty easy to just slap together. But also, we might have, because I didn't measure in-betweens yet, so we might have to move all of these down by one, but just in case, we're going to do one that goes into the ground. So we have this. And now we pretty much have to do the in-betweens to round it off. And that's not difficult, but let's bring this up. Copy, paste, bring it up. So what we'll do is we're just going to put these all in place. Skipping one for all of them. All right. Sorry about that. So now we're just going to kind of like round it off. So the best way to do this is just look at the cross ties and then just kind of match the bend in the cross ties. So we'll just, oops, boom. And it might warp it just a little bit, but it'd be fine because we can always adjust it. There, and then here. I mean, for this, you could basically have it as a middle point. So, like that. And then you can kind of see it's already somewhat taken shape, so that we can go to perspective. And you can kind of already see that it's coming together. And also, I forgot to mention this. When you copy and paste, everything slides around. So this is going to be probably the tedious part that makes copy and pasting not worth it. But so what I'm going to do is we're just going to take all of these like this, and we're just going to slide them over and line them up. This might take a little bit. I should have mentioned this beforehand, and I apologize. But let's just, it doesn't take that long. It's still much faster to do that, or much faster to do this than it is to manually place everything. So I'm going to go ahead and line everything up. Just doing what I'm doing, go to the top view, select them, and just slide them over and line them all up. And then I will come back once we've lined them all up, and we will continue from there. Alrighty. I really apologize for that. I was not thinking that through 100%. I remember the whole copy and paste thing, moving it slightly, but it didn't dawn on me till like after I've already done everything. So you could kind of see we have what we have here is basically everything we need to work with. We have this part. I mean, what we can do. All right, so we'll let's see. All right, copy paste. Move this down. And then now from this point, you kind of just want to we can adjust this, but you want to kind of make it as straight as possible. So I'm going to skip one and then go down a whole block. But I'm pretty sure yeah, that's we're going to have to adjust that. Anyway, let's go to top view so we can fix this from being another issue. Move that over. All right. So ignore this because we're gonna straighten this out. So what you can do to start, and this is where a lot of fiddling around comes in. So you're gonna want to connect these straight parts. So let's go to beam. Make sure your beam is where you want it to be. So let's freeze this first, so we can kind of see what we have so far. So you have this, and make sure all of them are connected because some boxes might end up losing their top what is it called? Top support beam. Like one box might be missing one side. So just go through, make sure all your boxes have the pieces on it. And yeah, this is like right there. Perfect example. What I just pasted. They're missing theirs, but we're gonna fix that in a little bit. We're not gonna focus on that entirely. All right, so we have this, and what we can do now, we can unfreeze, go to supports, and then go to add beam. We'll go to right, and then go to the very first one where we just went up basically straight. So click and then drag to the top. Same thing. Click. And it makes it much easier if you are like pretty much stopping at the same box. It will cause a lot less confusion. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. Click up there, and then we're going to click this and up there. And then if we go back to perspective, it should be there you go. So basically what we're doing is we're just connecting each corner all the way through. So we'll just click, drag, click, drag, click, drag. And I only say go straight through all of it on the straight sections because then you see it goes through each one. Like you don't have to worry about it. I mean, it goes slightly off, but when you freeze it, the thickness of the box won't really show, or it won't really show a gap. So it'll work out. But then you can do the same thing down here when we get to the steepest section. So if I go to right view and we can find that steepest part again, we can click, drag straight down. And you see that's a little bit off. Then that's not the section we want. We want to go down one more. There you go, straight through. All right, then down. Switch it to left view. Do the same thing. Click down. Click down. All right, so then I wouldn't worry about this right now. We'll get to this later on because this is not really something to worry about right now. We're just trying to get the truss lift itself. So let's go ahead and go back to perspective. And what I'm going to be doing, just to save time, I will connect all of these corner to corner until we meet up the in-between. And then I will pick back up, and then we will finish this off. So I'll see you when we finish off this little in-between part. Alrighty, so you see that we have pretty much all of it complete. We're not going to worry about this. Like I said, we're just going to do this later. And I'll explain, just to stop some confusion. I'll go ahead and clear all these out. And then I didn't notice that this part was like unfinished, so we're just going to click, drag, click, drag, click, drag. All right. So you see how, I see a little imperfection like right here. You see how it like dents in a little bit. So this is where adjusting comes in. By the way, if you've made it this far and you're confused, please leave something leave any comments in the description. I will check them and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I try to get back to everybody. I'm always down to help. I always want to help. I've always wanted to like help make things a little bit easier and spread the knowledge, you know? So, um, a good little tip. I mean, it's probably too late if you've made it this far, but if you're just watching it to get an idea and you haven't started, I really recommend. I mean, what I'm doing now is fine. Like just building beside it first. You don't want to build it inside of the track because then it will just cause a lot of confusion when you're trying to go through and do the next part that I'm about to explain. But then I would just recommend having this coaster as its own thing. Like have the RMC as its own, and then go add a new coaster, and then just use the new coaster as supports. So that way you can freeze the RMC, like freeze your RMC, and then also click, drag, and adjust. Like if I wanted to adjust this and I accidentally catch the node and I got to move it, it's going to move the node too. So it could cause a little bit of interference. So that's just my little tip. There's a lot I should have explained before jumping into it. But I mean, I feel like mistakes should be made to learn. But I'm not doing that on purpose, I promise. So we see that there's this little imperfection here, so we'll just click it. We'll bring it back. And we're just going to go around and really just try and make sure everything is like... Because like some of these are just a little off. So we can just go through and adjust it. Like, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. You're not going to see this. You're going to be flying by it really fast. But I want to try to get this perfect because I'm a perfectionist. I like being able to load up a park and see it and just be like, wow, that looks insane. But that's my little short tip part. I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next section because there's a cross tie type section we have to do in between each side. So each face of each square will be covered with a diagonal cross, which that's where I would kind of categorize this to be more difficult than what we've done so far. With King Ka, I mean, yes, it might have been a little confusing, but it's also a little easier because look at how wide each box is. Each box is wide enough to where you can adjust and actually see. Over here, you see how small these boxes are, and not only are we on a triangle, you're only worried about 3 different faces. Technically, yeah, 3 different faces if you're going to do triangles. With a square or a box or whatever, you got to worry about 4 different faces and making sure you get to all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and skip to this next part. I'll reiterate again. If you have any questions, need any extra help, let me know in the comment. I will gladly try to help you the best I can. And if this tutorial does help you and you make an RMC with a truss lift, please don't hesitate to send it my way. I will gladly watch it. I would love to see your design and how you created an RMC, and then how I've actually benefited in creating the truss lift, if I've benefited at all. So I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next part, and I can explain a little bit more on this next part that might get a little bit tedious. Okay, so I figured it was a lot easier to show an actual image of it, and we can like zoom into it and really check it out to really see. But the cross sections are a little bit smaller than the actual spine itself. This is Zadra, and then I also have Iron Gwazi when it was under construction, so you can kind of see exactly how it's put together and everything else like that. It's not super complex, but if you really want to like leave out the confusion, it's probably best if we were to start with a like the legs of it, not the legs, but like like the footer. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I hope you're scooping what I'm pooping. But so if we were to try to add this part, and then we can have it come out and then finish off, that is also like pretty simple. So I'm only gonna say let's do this now, so that way we can avoid having to switch back and forth between support options. Because if we have to switch between support options, you might forget, and then everything might look a little bit off. So if we look back at the picture, it's towards the top of the lift. It's pretty much 30, 40 feet away from the top of the lift. So if we go here and go back to right view, we can assume that it will be probably in this area right here. So the way that you can do this is you're going to do the exact same thing you did before. You're going to create a square, but this time you're going to do it, instead of doing it front view to go up the lift with, you're going to go to top view because we're building straight down to the ground. So we're going to come over here, and you want to kind of remember we're keeping the dimensions the same. So just remember exactly the width of your box. We're going to add a free node, and then we're going to come up here to where it starts to go straight down, just so we can have an idea. So we have online, 1, 2, online. So online, 1, 2, online. And then we were trying to keep it as a like rectangle more than anything. So now we're going to click this and we're going to add our beams in. And then just because I don't want to make the same mistake, well, I got to add that beam in now. I don't want to make the same mistake. So we're going to click this and drag it to where we want it. So we're going to want it, we'll say like right here. I mean, technically, you know, we'll do it right here. So we're going to put it there. And then I'm going to put it further away from the lift because it's going to end up bringing itself over when we copy and paste. Like if I copy, paste, we know that we can hit left on the arrow key. Now, for some of you, it might be a little bit different, but we're just going to copy, paste, left arrow key, page down. Copy, paste, left arrow key, page down. And so we got that. And just to even it out, because we're skipping a line, we're just going to make a gap there. And that'll be fine. And we're going to do copy, paste, left, page down. Copy, paste, left, page down. Copy, paste, left, page down. Now, most of the time, it might be the same for you, but everybody builds in different angles. So if you're going up, I would mess around with your arrow keys and see which direction it might go. And then just remember that pattern. Like for me, it's copy, paste, left, page down. So we're going to build all the way down to the ground. And then let me make sure. All right, so copy, paste, left, page down. Copy, paste, left, page down. And we're going to just do this all the way down. And we got a little bit to go, but I guess I can, while we're sitting here, I'll kind of go over a few things. So the main reason why I'm doing this is because, like I said, I don't want to like cause confusion and you have to go back and adjust, because I'm a very forgetful person. I'm probably one of the most forgetful people on the planet. And I will end up forgetting to go back and changing my support sizes. And that is the most frustrating thing. So we're going to put this in the ground right there. Cool. All right. And then we can go back to the image. And then we can kind of scroll through these other ones and see where the other ones are. Because we also have to go back and add in the other side of the main drop, where it branches out a little bit. So you have the crest over and then probably the in-between for that. So realistically, you can take this whole area, copy and paste it. Just remember to move it over. So let's see. If we put it there maybe, or wait, we should put it there. Realistically, we should put it there. So I'm going to click over so we can make sure we have it. Copy, paste left. And then instead of going page down, we're going to hold down on the arrow key because that's the direction we need to go. And just because we want to try to line everything up, we're just going to go to the nearest dot. Go up so we're right on it. Now, realistically, that looks a little too close to the next support, so we'll do that. And that should be fine. Like, we can go one more. Like, we can technically bring it there, and I think that would be fine. See, like, it doesn't need to get this deep, but I just... All right, let's see. So it's box, empty box, past one. So box, empty box, past one. So then this would, yeah, that would line up. So this is pretty much almost evenly spaced. So we're going to leave it there just for this tutorial. We'll go back to this, and you see we have these. So same thing we did before. We're going to go through all of these, and then we're going to go to supports, add beam, drag it all the way down, skip everybody in line because we got fast pass on supports. Well, actually, we'll wait on that. We'll drag this down. Then we're going to go to our left. Do the same exact thing. Drag down. Now, oops. Let me go back. Let's do this again because I put it on the wrong beam. All right. So let's drag this down and drag this down. Now we can go to right. Same thing. Boom. Now I'm realizing one thing. All right, I was correct. Because we built it. So it's not a big deal. This isn't a big deal. This is just because I kind of figured that it would do that. Which isn't a bad thing because we're going to move it there anyway. So realistically, it doesn't really matter. We could have left it the way it was and it would have done fine. Pretty sure there's one underground. Yeah, there is. All right. So let's freeze it. Well, first off, save it. I cannot reiterate this enough. I've probably saved it I don't realize I do it, but throughout the tutorial, you've probably seen me save this multiple times. If you haven't, then, oh, shame on me, because that's a habit that I've been into for a while. So, we have this. So, just to create less confusion, because now we're going to build outwards on the main truss. So, we're going to go to top view, and we're going to move this entire section right here over on top of this. So, that way we can finish building everything up. And then we will be able to finish off everything and then slide all of it over under our RMC. But you know what? Let's do that. Okay, I just thought of something because I know that this is not typically how it would work. So what I'm gonna do here, I'll do this. I'll take all this. We're gonna move it over. There. Now we're gonna move all of this out of the way, because this is typically how it's going to work for most of you. So we're going to do generate, and we'll just do the most complex one. So we have this as a lift. We already know that everything from this point over, and this is all it's going to be, and this is probably the most annoying part, is going through and deleting every little piece, because this part's going to be gone. You don't need this part, and you won't need that part, because we're going to also finish building off the lift. So then I know there's a node there, so then we can, over here, this is why I was, well, I mean, this doesn't matter, because you can't avoid this regardless. So we're just going to go to right view. And see, this is where what I was mentioning earlier really comes into play. You don't want to delete the wrong thing. I mean, yes, you can move this out of the way and do it, but it's just much easier if you make another coaster and do it. It just avoids a lot of the headache, so you won't have to worry about that at all. So we're just going to do this really quickly, because I had to keep in mind that most people who are building trusses, they have wooden supports on the rest of the coaster, so it's understandable. So let's drag, delete, drag, delete, drag, delete. And this is the easier way of doing it. I'm pretty sure there is an easier way to do it. I just always end up finding the hard ways to do things, and that's okay. If you learn the hard way to do things first, then the easy way will be much easier to understand and do. So, I mean, it's not a bad thing to learn the hard way first. All right, so now we have this. So we can technically, look, let's freeze this so I can show. All right, so we have the supports and all right here. And oh, I don't know why I love when that happens. Like the ledgers are like perfectly low enough to just be ground level. Like, oh, that's so satisfying. I mean, that's a little bit too low, but not enough to actually, wait a minute. Sorry guys, I'm like really fascinated by this. Oh man. Yo, what? That is insane. There's the smallest gap in there. So this is perfect. Awesome. Awesome sauce. Greatness. So we have this, and this is a much easier way of explaining this rather than building a whole coaster. So you would have your supports and you would delete them. I chose the most complex support structure for a wooden coaster just to make it just in case that's what you choose, because everybody uses different types of support structures. The only bad thing is if you don't go through and adjust some of your supports or whatever, and then you end up having to regenerate, then you're going to have to redelete everything for that lift. So, now that that's done, we got to go back to right view, and we have to line everything back up. And I don't want to move it manually because then I'll end up putting it too low or too high, and then I'll probably won't even get it back to where I want it to be, which is why I did it in top view to begin with, because you can't go up or down with it that way. So now we have to like there, and then it's right on the lift. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And then from here we can take this, copy, paste, left, and then I'm just gonna drag this. Actually, let's not do that then. Oh man. Alrighty, so doing too much. Alright, so we're gonna go back one. That lines it up right there. And to go over and then down. There's a little space. Alrighty, so I'm gonna take a little breather for a second because we're gonna jump right back into we're just gonna move this manually to like this point right here, and then I'm gonna just readjust it. The main thing is the drop. You don't want the whole track to go through the drop. No, not really. So we can take this and move that back. See, it just looks weird. I don't like that. I like the rounded shape. All right, so I'm going to skip this part to the direct next part where we're going to be adding in all the extra things. Because now now that we're right here at this point, it's good to come here, go to supports, add beam, and then connect the, I guess you could say, legs of the truss to each other. So you want to find the nose that it's on top of, connect these, kaboom, boom, boom, and then you pretty much have the basis of it. So I'll go over the additional little parts that come out and go down, but those are extremely easy. That's not going to be hard at all, and then I will return in 1 second. I mean, let's go ahead and freeze it. And this is what we have so far. And technically you could leave it as is, but we're going to say that we're overachievers and we want to really make the coaster pop stand out because we basically have the truss lifts. Now, what I was going to try and do, I was going to try to make a bunch of pre-made support types. Like, let's say, like, I can have this here, and then I would have, like, a tower without the coaster on it, and then a B&M Giga Lift without the coaster on it, and I would make a park with just those supports in it, and then put it up for download. And then that way you guys can download it. And let's say you want to build a Strata coaster, for example. And to avoid the headache of building the Strata tower, you can just load in the park that has all the supports in it. You can delete the truss lift. You can delete the Giga Lift and everything and leave the Strata tower. And then build your coaster and just go with, build with the Strata tower. So you're going to build your coaster into the supports. So it'd still be that height and everything. And like same thing with the B&M Giga. So, like, let's say you want to have a park where you build a B&M Giga, but you don't want to do the supports. You can delete the truss lift and the Strata tower and everything else support-wise here, and then just build your coaster on the supports. And then that would help avoid it. I mean, it's a little tedious, but it would also make it much easier for people who don't understand the supporting tab or supports and all that. It'd make it much easier. Same thing with spikes. I can just put the spike supports, and then you can adjust it as you want to. I know that this is a very short version. The spike is the same height as Pantheon. The top hat is not. But you can adjust the supports after they're unfrozen. And I feel like adjusting the supports that are already there would be much easier than creating from scratch. So let's jump back right into this. So go to perspective, and we can pull up the images again so we can really check this out. Building a stall, I after you've done this, I feel like it'd be a fun challenge to try and figure this out. If you really want me to add the stall to it, let me know. I'll put out another tutorial that'll last maybe 5 minutes, like a 5-minute tutorial on adding a stall to a truss lift. That's if you guys really want it. Just let me know in the comments, and I will be more than happy to do it. But if you want to challenge yourself and really try to figure this out, because the hardest part is all this. I would say the easiest part is if you're like, I want to stall, and then adding the stall supports. So like, let's check out the drop. We'll start with the drop and then work our way back to the base of the lift. So, the drop on Zadra, the first point comes out on the left side. So then let's zoom out of this. Check out Iron Gwazi, and it's the same thing. The first point comes out on the left. So we can go back to the Zadra image. And it looks like basically it comes out right when the track becomes vertically straight down the rest of the way on the supports. So let's pull up NoLimits again. Let's go to the right view. And it looks like right about here. So if we unfreeze, we could select this. And then everything under it. Perspective. Now this could be wonky, so we're just going to see how it works. We're going to Control C, Control V, left, and then we're going to hold left. And we're going to try to line this up to where it's inside of itself. So there you go. And then we're just going to go to the support panel. Where is it? Add beam. We're going to connect the beams here. Continue the square. But we're going to not do this one. Don't do this line. We're going to go up one more. And you can see right here on both of them. I mean, here's a good example. It skips one whole box and goes to the next one. So you're going to have to manually add in this middle section. But if you've watched my supporting tutorial, you got like a very basic idea. This is more advanced. I feel like this is way more advanced than like my basic tutorial on beams. So we're going to add these in. Oops. Boom. Boom, bomb, diggity. Alrighty. So we have that. And then the same thing would apply for the next part down. Next part down, let's check out the image. And we have it here. So let's say the point of the top of the bend. We got the box it starts on. Top of the box, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the bottom of number 4. So if we go to NoLimits, check it, like 1, 2, 3, 4. But that's way too close. But that, you know what? No, it's not. So let's do that. We're going to go 4 down from the top part. Only choose one side of it because you don't want to bring a whole nother box over. Control C, Control V. And we're going to hold this. And we're going to put it inside of that area. Cool. Like we did before. We're going to connect the box out. And then skip a section. And then go to add beam node. We're going to add them randomly. You don't have to worry about where they're at right now because we're going to adjust that. So now if we go to front view or back, front or back, doesn't matter. We just got really lucky on this and it ended up really straight. So click these and we'll move them up. If I can get a hold of that back node, that'd be great. And move that up. So there you go on that. So, I mean, that is, I don't know how I like that. It looks like it's way too close. I literally, you know what? Sorry, guys. I am really sorry. The perfectionist in me is really eating me up. So let me fix this. I'm going to do this very quickly because I'm going to assume that we've kind of picked up on it. I'm really hoping that I'm explaining this well or not moving too fast or like really trying to make sure I hit all the points. Because I want to be a good teacher and good way or like a good person to like reference to for tutorials. So I want to do what I can to like actually help. I'm gonna add beam. And like when I build coasters and do coaster tutorials, it's literally all about adjusting. So we have those. That looks about right. Yeah, that's all right. All right, so go back in here, add beams. Not going to worry about them being straight because we're going to adjust that later. Boom, boom, boom. Click, go to front view, scroll down to where we need to be, pull this up, and then we're going to click on the other node in the back, pull that up. There we go. So what we basically just did was the main drop part. So you've seen how kind of simple that was. The only thing that made it difficult was me. I made that difficult because I wanted it to be more realistic and more perfect. So now that's on the main drop. So we got to assume that, because this is basically going to be the same on the main drop. If you look at this and then you translate it over, it's the exact same thing. They go down on the same point. It's just this one looks lower, but they go down on the same point. And then so that part would come out on that as well. So we can go over to that one, or the next one back from the main drop, and do, let's say this is a box 1, 2, the bottom of the second box from that. So we got this box, and then we'll go 1. Technically it's right here. So then we can copy and paste this section, slide it over, make sure it's there. All right, cool. Delete these because you don't need them. Add beam, click, drag, release. Add beam, click, drag, release. And then click up, pull, click up, boom. All right, and then add beam node, scuba doop 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 doop, boom, add, drag, drag, drag. And I'm gonna kind of assume like, okay, you're scooping what I'm pooping now, so you get what's going on, you kind of understand. If you don't understand, please comment and I will help you out. So we know that the next section is going to be here. So to make this a little bit easier, I'm just going to copy this whole section, paste it, go over, and then we're going to bring it back, because we know that it's basically translated exactly as the main drop. So we're going to bring it back and drop right there. So then we're going to go back to perspective, make sure it lines up so we didn't drag any extra lines over, which looks like it's fine. So there's no lines in between. And then we will go back to beam, scuba doop 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 doop, add some beam nose and throw some rails on it. All right, and then go back to front view, come up, and click, slide up, click, slide up, tender style. All right, and now you basically have this. I'm not going to worry about this last section, because realistically, if you figured out these two sections, then this last section, it will be a breeze. It's short, easy to do, and if you're keeping up with it and you like kind of keep up with what's going on, it'll come naturally. So now that we have that, we can click this, copy, paste, drag. Realistically, we can get rid of that because we don't need it. Copy, paste, drag, copy, paste, drag, copy, paste, drag. And you want this to go into the ground, so it's okay that it goes into the ground. All right. I mean, realistically, I don't like the way that looks right there, so we're going to just click these. And it's just a slight adjustment. We're not making big changes to it. So, and then we could grab that, move it over. So it's straight into the ground now. It's pretty much good, straight into the ground. So let's go down and make sure all the lines are good. And you can already tell that this needs to be connected. We're just going to assume the bar is there. You know, if we're in right view, we can do it manually. So let's click this there. And let's see if that's actually lined up with what we had. Of course not. All right. And I believe that's it for that. Oh, Lord. Oh, my. Oh, my. All right, so we're good. There we go. I really apologize, guys. I hate that I want things to be way too perfect. It eats me up if I just let it happen, because I'll know it. Y'all might not know it's there, but I know it's there, and it bugs me. All right, so we basically did somewhat of the hardest part. This is not the hardest part, but this is definitely, once you get this far, the rest of it is easy. Easy. But you have to work one section at a time. And this is where things can get really complicating. So let's pull this up again. If you look at the lift, we're going to do the main lift first. Don't even worry about the feet to the structure. We're going to do the main lift. It has boxes, but there's also cross beams. It goes up, down, pacer test, or push-up test. Think of that. Up, down. And we'll do that. We have to do that all the way across for 4 sides. So this is where it gets really tedious, and this is why I would put this one up there with one of the most difficult supports to do, because this is a pain in the booty. All right, there's something off right there. I swear I notice all the little things. All the small things. Oh, wait. So if I go to top view. Yeah, like stuff like this. Like I should not notice these things, but I'm glad I do. So that is now a line. All of this is completely straight. All right. So this is where we have to experiment. So we have the main structure. So we go to support, panel, and instead of doing 0.5, let's do 0.3. We'll try 0.3 at first. So we'll close that, add beam. Now let's start on this side. We'll do from the ground. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to start it that way. So now I'm gonna freeze it because you don't want to get a whole coaster done and then be like, oh, that's not right. There you go. So we'll say 0.5 for the entire lift and spine, and then beyond that you would switch to 0.3 to finish off. So I'll do a whole side, and then I will skip ahead to being pretty much done with it. So we're gonna click up, there, up, there. You're just basically building stairs, but you have to do it 4 different times. And that's where things become really tedious, because you can just imagine. You can see right now, like you can kind of already tell that it's like, okay, it's pretty jumbled. It gets worse because you have to do it 4 times. And then not only that, you have to do it for each leg all the way down. And it's just, it could be a pain. But it's really what you make of it. If you want your coaster to look realistic and really nice, then it's worth it. Why is that? See, I'm noticing everything. I don't like that. Wait, it's a free beam. Get rid of them. Awesome. All right, so drop. Boom. So then I'm gonna just go to right view, because we all know that if you're in right view, you'll only mess with the right side of the nodes. So we're gonna just make it quick. Boom, 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 boom. Now that I'm a little worried about. What in the world? Oh, okay. Okay. A little confused for a minute, but we're good. So let me go to right view, and we're going to go back to it, add beam, and just continue working down. And it's much easier to do this because you're just zigzagging all the way down. But at the same time, like right now, I'm pretty sure we just went completely off. Yeah, because we have to do this anyway. So you have to, like, we're basically working down from the outside now. But you still have to go back and do the other outer sides, which is what makes this the most tedious, and why I rank it second to the hardest support in this whole tutorial. So we're going to do that. We got that. All right, so now I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to go to the left side, and we will do it from this side. Oh, I didn't even notice we skipped. We'll just do that to cover up. Yo, what am I doing? Why'd I skip so much? What is this? Ain't no way. I don't want to go back and fix that. That's a lot of just... Anyway, the whole thing is don't skip like I just did on accident. But wait a minute. I didn't skip. I literally followed each line. So now I'm a little bit confused. Oh! Ignore me. Hate myself for that. Just gonna drag and connect. Drag. Once we finish this, I'll finish it up off video. And then I'll come back and then I'll explain the rest of it and then we'll move on to the next part. This is by far probably the longest part of the tutorial, and which is understandably it's understandable. Like you can kind of understand now why it's like the whole time I always knew how to do the truss supports. It was just a matter of me wanting to take the time to do it, and I finally did it on one of my Aries video, my RMC that I called Aries. I did it on that one, and that video did fantastic. That was honestly one of my most favorite RMCs that I've made. Not just because of the truss lift, but I told myself, okay, if I'm going to do a truss lift, this coaster is going to be like phenomenal. So I really thought about everything, like overthinking everything. I wanted it to be not repetitive, but also no dead zones. So like from the time you left the lift all the way to the brakes, there was no breathing time. And I took a lot of that into account when I was doing that one. But I built the truss lift after I built the coaster. I just had the truss lift in mind before I started building. I just decided, I was like, this is going to be the coaster that I really focus on and build a truss lift for. So let's check this out. We'll freeze it. And as you see, voila. Now, one thing you will notice if you don't do, I mean, if you really want to like cut corners, do the left and right side and the top. You don't necessarily have to do the bottom, but the top is like almost a must because, let me go to top view really quick. You want to do the top because you're going to be going up the lift, so you're going to see it. So I'm going to throw this together really quickly. And then I'll wrap this part of the tutorial up because I've been rambling too long trying to do this, because this is I feel like I laid these out very well in categories for difficulty wise. If you feel different, please let me know in your ranking of easiest to most difficult for this tutorial. I would love to see, like, hear everybody else's opinion on what they thought was easier, what they thought was more difficult, and it'll give me an idea for my next like support tutorial. Realistically, I'm not sure when that'll be, because I feel like in this video I've covered all the support tutorials that I need to, but there's always room to add. So and you can kind of just tell it's just a very time-consuming process. So right there, over. And we're almost done with this part. So it'll be good. All right. We're just going to say that we're going to consider it done because everything else on this is literally the exact same thing. Only difference is it's just on the rest of the supports. So you can see like the little zigzags all the way up. And if we like look at it from this view, and we could pull up the images. No limits. Images. Like, let me try to get like a full on like angle of the picture. You can tell it's definitely a different angle, but I don't know why I'm determined to get that right. There you go. That's close enough. You can kind of see it. But anyway, there you go. This is the tutorial on the RMC Truss Lift. Now all we have to do is unfreeze the whole thing. Top view. Let's get it. And we're going to slide it on over and put it right under the lift. Make sure it's symmetrically in the middle, which right there is in the middle on both sides because we measured it to try to be perfect as possible. Now let's freeze it. And then we can go and track view and check it out. So, I mean, obviously we can lower it a little bit because you can see it coming through. So we can lower certain sections, but the whole purpose was, like, you understand the whole purpose. So now if you want to, like, change something to it, you could just go up here and click on each one and just lower it. And you can tell that you should just lower the lift rather than everything. Oh, or not lower the lift. The supports for the lift. And this won't take very long at all, as they all say. And then it's and this is when it's really good to not spam and put a bunch of nodes in for the track, because then you don't have to worry about unchecking them or unclicking them. I see, like, we're already about to be done with this part. Boom. You have to get all the nodes in. We don't want to forget a node. All right, so we have that. So we're going to go down, down. Freeze. That should be good enough. And there you go. All right. It looks like it's slightly over. Okay, I'm not going to be a perfectionist. It doesn't matter. I got the tutorial done, so that's all that matters. So we have that. This is how you do a truss lift for RMC. And yeah, you can definitely, like, hop off ride, look at it, see how it looks. But that is how you do a truss lift for RMC. Definitely one of the most time-consuming ones. So now that that's out the way, I'm going to go ahead and throw it over there with the other ones. And now it's time to do probably the most difficult support in NoLimits, period. So let's jump into that. Okay, so, like, I spent a little bit of time trying to figure out if there's an easy way to do this. But I really don't think there is. Like, this is almost impossible. So, to start it off, this is a tutorial on how to do the supports for a
straight track.
And I don't think it could be any easier. I think this is going to be difficult. So, yeah, I'm trying to think of how I can make this easy. All right, so if you're trying to do a
straight track, motherfuckers,
you're going to want to go to the support panel, and you're going to want six rail connectors on this.
Straight track, straight track, straight track.
And now, let's do a footer here. Let me make sure that it's lined up. Alrighty. Oh, it's basically cool. All right. So first, you're gonna wanna. This is gonna take a little bit of adjusting because it can get really difficult. So let's go ahead and support panel. We're gonna want a 20-inch pipe, and we'll put it as like a reddish color because red is like mean or difficult. So we're gonna do that. And without wasting time, let's. Oh, this is so tedious. I don't know how to make this easy. All right. Damn. So I see. I don't know how to explain this. It's. All right. So let me try to explain this. You're gonna want to put 6 rail connectors on the
straight track,
and then connect one straight down to the ground, and you want to put this one kind of right here, and then you're gonna want another footer to put there. Then you want to come up here, and in the like a little higher than the middle, place a beam node, and then we're gonna take a another beam, and we're going to do this. And, oh man. The other one, you have 2 of these. You're going to want to put it in the middle, and then a footer right under that. I'm trying to make this as easy as I can, guys. This is like, I spent a while trying to figure out how to make this easy, but this is, I'm even struggling right now. You want to connect them like this, like a V, and bring the V straight down. Then you're going to want to add a footer, 2 more footers, and you got this right here, and you want to place it like that. Like, kind of like legs. Connect those. Oh, I'm getting so confused. I don't. And then you want to place 2 of them there. I don't know. This is difficult. Sorry, guys. I had to go take a breather. I was getting so stressed out by this. All right. And then for this part, you need 2 more footers, one straight down, and then here, straight down. And connect this one straight down, and this one straight down. And then for extra support, connect this one to this. And I believe that's how you can make supports for a
Straight track.
And the only thing left to do is freeze. Yeah, I think that looks okay. Yeah, okay. That should be good enough. I mean, this is so difficult. I've never done straight track supports ever, and I'm stressed out. I don't think I can ever do this again. I think I understand why I put this last now, because I just burnt so many brain cells doing this. Oh my. So if anybody has any questions on how to do
straight track
supports, just let me know in the comments. I'll try to help, but this is definitely really difficult, so I'm not sure how I'll go about it, but thank you all for watching. I hope I was able to help out in some sort of way without stressing you out. So we went over, let's do a recap. Started off with a B&M Giga Lift with the thick spine. We moved on to a Intamin Blitz, or however you want to create this. It doesn't have to be a Blitz for it to have these kind of structures. With the spike, outer bank, and top hat. We moved on to the Strata Towers by Intamin. So we have like a good old Strata Tower. There you go. And then not final, we have the RMC Hybrid Truss Lift. And then last but not least, we have, and honestly, Ryan, what's the best type of track?
The best kind of track is the straight track.
All right, you heard it from him first. So, I mean, this is definitely the best, and highly recommend doing this. If you have any coasters that have a
straight track,
a point like this, much appreciated if you can pay tribute to the support. You could support me by supporting Ryan, the
straight track
genius behind all of this. So I really appreciate all of you for watching. Hopefully I'm able to help. If there's anything you need or like questions you have, please put them in the comments below. I will gladly reach out and try to help. But yeah, this is the big support tutorial. Hopefully I was able to make things clear. But another tutorial should be coming soon. I got a couple videos I'm trying to schedule and get set up now. But yeah, guys, I really appreciate you sticking around and everything like that. So till next time, I will see you guys later. Have a good one.